In the Know, a radio program talking to the newsmakers in Ogle, Lee, DeKalb counties and beyond, keeping you in the know. Here's your host, Charles Van Horn.
Good morning and happy Sunday. I'm Charles Van Horn, in the know once again, talking about community events with community people. And of course, a big person in our community, Rochelle Mayor John Bearrows. Good morning.
Good morning, Charles. How are you today?
Doing great. Glad to have you here. Always exciting to talk about the latest things happening in Rochelle and talk about things that have happened in the past and then sort of look into that crystal ball towards the future. This past week, let's talk about a bit of the past and long-term employees of the city of Rochelle. We've had a couple of retirees as of late. All that experience, a lot of great staff members who've been there a long time, and they're moving on, and that's great to see them enjoy retirement. But boy, that leaves a hole in your heart and in the office, right?
Yeah, we've had some very long-term employees. You know, Peggy Friday took her retirement. She's coming out of the Economic Development Department. Wendy Horn took her retirement. She's our code enforcement officer. She's been there 40 years.
Yeah.
And of course, last Monday night, we acknowledged Nancy Bingham, who is retiring from the HR department. And that leaves a lot of years. I think there's like 85 years of experience between those three people or something like that. It's a big number.
Yeah.
But we can be very thankful we've had them as long as we have. And also the fact that they have mentored and groomed in the next generation to come in, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Rochelle's got a lot of employees, something like 160, I think, give or take.
Including part-time, but yeah, full-time, I think there's around 145.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a lot of people. A lot of people to take care of. That's why the HR is just got to be just busy every single day with the needs of the employees.
You know, when you think about the HR department, you think about, employee relations and employee issues, but it also, you start talking about your insurance issues and all the things that, I know Brittany has done, Brittany Zick has brought up things in the insurance portion of it that extremely important that the average person doesn't think about. And that's kind of her job. And so she keeps us out of trouble and keeps everything covered. And that's a really big part when you have a city like Rochelle with so many different entities and departments throughout.
Yeah, and Rochelle's staff is larger because, again, you guys do a lot of stuff in-house. You've maintained control of your utilities and a lot of your transportation stuff. You're not like other municipalities that have sold off portions of what they do to private entities. You guys have kept it all under your roof, and I think that's helped out a lot.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I'll say, with the city of Rochelle, with all the things we have going with the airport, our own railroad, and, the list goes on and on of things, the utilities, all that stuff. Back in the day when the council members each had a department that they looked over, I can't imagine, and not that our council members, are incompetent at all. I'm just saying, I can't imagine myself having a department today with the regulations and all the guidelines you have to follow. That's why the city manager form of government has become so popular, because you have to have someone that's got the expertise in those areas, business expertise, and also, what we've found here locally, to be quite honest with you, with City Manager Fakenshoe, he's got great people around him that run those departments, and he has meetings with them. His meetings go constant, day by day, and keep everybody in the loop with what's going on. And I think it's really running very, very smoothly.
And Rochelle's not like a larger urban area like Chicago, where the city council members, it's a full-time job. Here, these people are volunteers. Let's be realistic. They're volunteering to help out their community and serving the city and helping make those decisions. And that's a lot to ask of them, never mind putting on them the rules and regulations. That's why I think it's brilliant that, and if you haven't had a chance to watch a Rochelle City Council meeting in person or on the YouTube channel live and on Facebook when it works, sometimes it gets that green screen and everything's a little wonky. But see the council in action. They ask questions. They try to understand things. And when you have somebody presenting something to the council, you get them an opportunity to explain exactly what it is. There's so many towns, and I go to a lot of city council meetings, and I don't want to disparage any community, but there are some places that just bang the gavel and move on, and you have no idea what it is they passed or where the tax dollars went. And you guys do a really good job of laying that out in the open.
Well, and I think the transparency, the biggest part of that falls upon the city manager, who meets with each council member one-on-one prior to the meeting to address any concerns, questions, or whatever. So when we come to a city council meeting, and I've said this before, when we come to a city council meeting, we've already reviewed this plan for the last, however many weeks, and it's come down to a vote at the council meeting, and then you have some fine-tuned questions we all want to ask, and by the time it comes to council, we've massaged out all of the bumps and such with the program. So I think that, our city council has been extremely supportive. I can't say enough for them. I love working with them, and they've been super supportive of programs that come forth. They have good questions. They have good concerns. Jeff does a great job of addressing those concerns. I just think we've got great continuity within our council and our city manager. And honestly, as you said, with 140 plus employees, those folks all have City of Rochelle in their heart. They love what they do. They're not here just for a job. I mean, whether you're talking water rec, or RMU, they love what they do, and they take pride in their job. And we got everybody in the right spot. It says, I've always said, the old joke was, if anybody's old enough to remember when the Bears went to Super Bowl, the reason that happened is you had all the right players in all the right spots. And everybody had the same vision, and they all work towards the same direction. And that's the way I feel Rochelle is now.
Okay, so you've explained how City Manager Fagenshoe does amazing work and has great people around him. The council listens to not only the people in the community, but also helps to make sure the decisions are made correctly, that all the employees in Rochelle work hard for the love of the community. What do you do then? Because you've pretty much you've passed the buck, it looks like, sir. I think you've just given all your jobs to everybody else.
Well, actually, and everybody wonders what does the mayor actually do? And actually, the mayor is the face of the community, and I'm the one that goes out and makes sure that all the folks know what we're doing. I take part I do have a vote in the whatever comes before the council, but truly. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I see so much now that I didn't see when I was a council member.
Yeah.
As mayor, I sit in on a lot of different meetings, and a lot of different things going on. And what it really does is you sit in those meetings, you kind of bounce ideas, and that's what brings these things forth. One of the examples of that is, being in the real estate business, I see how we're short of housing. That's what brought our housing incentive program forth, because that was an area that I feel I have some expertise in. And when I brought that forward, it's been greeted with great reviews from our council members. They have some questions, as all taxing bodies, but, it's kind of the right thing to do. And I think what I think is very cool about it, Rochelle has always been on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
And there's no one else in our immediate area that has already passed and ready to go on a housing incentive program like what we're proposing. We're hoping this will come before our council the first week in July, or the first meeting in July. So, once we get all the other taxing bodies on board, we've got a meeting coming up the 20th, which is this next week. Hopefully we'll get everybody on board. We can make this an incentive that makes it feasible and affordable to build a new house. And I just think it's something we have to look at.
Summertime is here. That means road construction season. Of course, Stewart Road getting work. The amazing thing about Stewart Road is the increase in truck traffic since you guys took it over from Ogle County.
One of the things that I mentioned last Monday night was the fact that this is kind of the pitfall of having great economic development growth. Because as that growth comes in, we have more truck traffic.
Yeah.
And, not only that, if you think about the transload yard that we have, the transload yards, the purpose of that is to transload either from a train onto a truck or from a truck onto a train. So that, too, as it grows and the intermodal becomes a reality, then that creates more truck traffic. So, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I know Sam Tesoro does a great job of looking forward to see, okay, we're applying for grants. Where are we going to best utilize this money to take care of our roads? One of the other things we talk about is, the Dement Road project is really a safety issue, because that's going to hopefully, if that can come to fruition, that will take a lot of truck traffic out of the city and keep it out towards the interstate. And that's really what we need, because our area on Wisco Drive and frozen food and all the companies down there, we have 29 publicly traded companies in this little town of 9,500.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a well unknown fact that people don't really think about. But, in that Wisco Drive area, take those trucks from there straight out to the interstate. Plus, it'll be a big advantage for Lake Sewell, because if you don't live here and know where it's at, it's very hard to get to.
Well, and as someone who was just playing around a little bit ago, you type that into your navigation, depending on where your GPS takes you, it'll throw you onto I-39 and just tell you to pull over on the shoulder and hop a fence. That's how it tells you to get to Lake Sewell. So it's not exactly the best represented, at least in the maps. And Lake Sewell is a great resource. A couple of docks there, nice boat ramp, little park
great
shelter.
Great place to go down and go fishing, you know. And that's one of the things, as we presented this, Congressman LaHood called or sent a text last week that we're in the short list of 1 to 15. One of 15 that will be considered for a grant next year in the budget for $5 million for that project. So, I'm very happy for that. We've worked very hard at that for a lot of years. Not myself as much for a lot of years, but a lot of our staff has. Sam's talked about this for a long time. Finally, now it's hopefully going to become a reality. Many benefits to that. FEMA floodplain issues, safety, all those types of things, connectivity. That's going to be great.
Dement Road, named after the township, could be named after you.
No,
just saying.
No, I think
keep trying to push that every time one of these projects comes up, it needs to be just named after you. John Bearrows Drive? Avenue? We can do Avenue.
Bearrows Boulevard? No,
Bearrows, no, you can't do Boulevard, because Boulevard sometimes will scare trucks away. Because sometimes some jurisdictions have it where semi-trucks can't drive on boulevards. So you don't want it to be a boulevard unless that's for like a housing district. Then that would make more sense. I'm thinking John Bearrows Drive.
Yeah, I think Dement Road Extension.
John Bearrows Industrial Drive.
Dement Road Extension will save us from changing all the maps.
Well, you already got to change the map for Lake Sewell. Let's be realistic.
There you go.
You can't find it anyway. Rochelle Mayor John Bearrows hanging out in studio with us on your Sunday morning as monthly chats with us. So big grant money coming in for that. Other grant money has come in for you guys to work on some utilities downtown. City Manager Fagenshu has talked about the excitement of that project, how you have to wait after the Heritage Festival before you go in there and start ripping that stuff up. We know that's going to take place over the next year and a half, knock on wood. Look into that crystal ball. Are there other power lines you guys want to get underground and other things you want to sort of modernize?
Yeah, throughout the community, obviously underground power is much easier to maintain. You don't have to worry about the tree limbs, the wind, the ice. So, Blake has done a great job of kind of prioritizing and getting some things underground. I think I believe they're working in the Westview area. There's several spots that they're working on to get the power underground. It saves so much in the maintenance side of it and the safety aspect. You don't end up with a live power line coming down when a tree takes it down. So, we're working on that. That alley between the 4th Avenue and 5th Avenue area between South Main and Lincoln Avenue or Lincoln Highway, that alley back there behind there where the gazebo used to be, there's just a horrendous amount of power lines and such in that alley, and cables and phone and internet and all that stuff. It's really one of the key aspects of getting this stuff underground is the safety of perhaps a fireman or whatever that has to go in there. If you have a structure fire, there's so many power lines and they use aluminum ladders. So, it's just it's going to be great to not only for the eye candy of that to clean it up, but the safety aspect is going to be amazing.
And kids with kites.
There you go. and I think that whole project, my vision, when you talk about looking the crystal ball, my vision is, hopefully down the road, we could see at that band shell portion of that whole area, plaza, I call it, we'll be able to have some maybe Tuesday night, Thursday night, maybe local people come in, play guitar, whatever. Yeah. Just a good gathering spot.
Right there at the John Bearrows band shell.
No, I don't.
I'm going to try to get something named after you. You see, for me, I haven't been here long enough to have the honor of anything named after me. And I understand that. Now, Jeff Leone, he deserves many things named after him. But I'm just going to hold out long enough for at least a lift station.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Or a nice water reclamation district sort of outflow pipe somewhere.
Hey, real quick, one thing I forgot to mention, we did get news this last week. Adam Lanning with Water Rec had applied for Well 8's grant.
Yeah.
He now has applied for and got a commitment that Well 8 will be completely funded by grant money. There's no debt to the city at all.
That is fantastic.
That's amazing. And Adam is another one of those great employees that works very hard at getting our grant monies.
Yeah, and that well, again, had some iron issues and discoloration issues, especially in the industrial area. And a lot of those customers do not like heavy metals in their water for their processing and washing and things like that. So that's great news.
So hats off to Adam for a job well done on that, and his staff. I mean, when we mention department heads, it's not only department heads. There's a lot of good staff with each department. So it's a department head gets the recognition, but also it's kind of like we always say. For myself, I love to stand here and tell you about all this stuff. It's great, but it's a lot of good folks behind me. But the flip side of that is when things go awry, you're also the one that gets pointed out.
Well, let's hope nothing gets pointed out soon. Mayor John Bearrows, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you much. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to this week's In the Know. The program returns next week at this time with another great conversation with someone from your community.